It's 5:30, so we'll call to order this meeting for Monday, October 7th. Jordan, would you start us off with a roll call, please?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne.
Present.
Fauberg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Ward.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold.
Present.
Langer.
Present.
Norgstrup.
Present.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have an amendment to make to this agenda as printed? After it was released, we had a council action request for a noise ordinance variance. So if someone would be so kind as to make a motion for the approval of the agenda with that amendment.
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion from Councilwoman Fauberg and a second from Councilman Reinbold. Anything from the council? All right, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next is our minutes from last meeting, which took place 2 weeks ago on September 23rd. I would take a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion Liebelt, second. Ward, anyone have anything on those minutes? All right, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. When I rolled in, I didn't see anyone sign up to speak at the open forum. Does it still look that way, Jordan?
Looks that way to me.
Sounds good. So we'll kick right over to our consent calendar where we've got 7 pieces of routine city business. Raffle and lottery notice setting a hearing date for a transfer of a malt beverage license, setting a bid date for a property sale, public sale of surplus items, community event permit, a public hearing for a rezone, and a department of our audit to receive and place that item on file that we discussed a few weeks ago. I would take a motion to approve our consent calendar.
I'd move to approve all 8 items, including the new item for the temporary variance, which I think was supposed to go on the consent calendar.
Second.
I have one question about one item on the consent calendar.
Go ahead.
It's actually 2. The lottery notices, we get these all of the time, but I was wondering if there's like a beginning and an end date for these lotteries and
They're a
what the
year, right?
rules are on that.
I want to say it's 18 months, but I'm not sure on that. But there is a definite time within the statute that those lotteries can be held open, and they start within the 30 days that they're originally noticed for us. So
And you can see on the application for this one is for one particular day. Let's see, Stephen here. Did you have a second question, did you say?
No, it was just the 2 items, the 2 lottery items. I wasn't sure how that worked.
And this variance will be part of the
the
consent calendar? Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Sounds good. So we won't have to discuss that one if there's nothing else. Do we got our motion and second? Sounds good. Anyone else from the council have anything on any of these items? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We've got 2 items of old business from our previous meeting. The first one is the second reading, which is our final adoption of ordinance 240902, which supplements the budget for appropriated funds from unanticipated projects, activities, and expenditures. Jordan, anything new or changing on that one?
Thank you, Mayor. There are no changes to this ordinance since first reading, and staff recommends approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold, a second from Councilman Johnson. Any final words before we take our final vote on this one?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
since there's so many students here today, and since I'm sure their professor wants them to learn many things, it'd be nice if Jordan gave them an overview of how the budget's done.
How the budget's done as a whole.
In 5
Yep.
minutes or less.
Can't you have 3 minutes,
3
and then
minutes.
they'll get bored.
All right. So
Well,
the-
this isn't the budget itself. This is shuffling around.
Appropriation, then we'll just say that.
Okay.
Sure. I'll be brief. The city council sets a budget annually. They do it around early September of each year. Through the course of the year, things change. In this case, we had a lot of insurance bills that came in over budget. We did things that we didn't plan on within that budget as well. So in order to amend our budget, we are required by our city charter to pass ordinances that amend our budget. That gives us the statutory authority to expend funds that wouldn't have otherwise been allowed. So, without doing this, we're over budget, but doing this puts our activity within budget. Some of these things are funded with things like donations and grants. So while we have the cash, we may not have the means to pay for it, and this gives us that means. So that's my 3-minute version of what we're doing
That was
here.
excellent. Do you want to be a professor now?
A+.
That was excellent.
All right, so if there's nothing else from the council, and just to kind of make one additional note for the more casual viewer of these meetings, each ordinance requires 2 different meetings and 2 different votes from the council. And that really opens up the community to have an opportunity to come in and express their opinions on these things so that things don't just happen super quickly when they're going to have long-lasting impacts like things like city budgets and that kind of a thing. So this is something that 2 weeks ago in our meeting we would have discussed more at length and kind of covered off some of the specifics of that. We would have had a chance to digest it. We'd have been forced to publish it twice so that the public could have an opportunity to take a look at the ins and outs of what exactly we're voting on and have a couple of opportunities to come and provide input as well as to reach out to us in the meantime. So part of a legal process that we're required to uphold to, but it makes good sense and it gives the community a good opportunity to weigh in on things that would be impacting their circumstances. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on the second reading and final adoption of item A in our old business?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we've got a possible second reading of ordinance 240903, which supplements the budget for Parks, Rec, and Forestry Department activities.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to the ordinance that we just passed, this ordinance provides additional expenditure authority for things that we do in our park system. If you've been to Storybook Land and Wiley Park, we do things that are pretty special, and those things are funded with donations from people who pay for rides and buy other things out there. That money is set in a special fund. We use fund accounting. It's in its own fund, kind of its own bucket. And in order to spend it, we need to transfer it to a different bucket and then also increase our budget so that we can spend the money. So kind of a shell game, but that's governmental fund accounting, and it's what we need to do but to be within the law. So staff recommends approval of the adjustments described within the ordinance.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Johnson. Any questions or final thoughts before we
That was good. Put that on a t-shirt.
before we approve this shell game?
I'm going to strike that from the record.
Sustained.
There might be a negative connotation in some of that language. Jordan, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. And moving along to new business, these are all topics that we haven't discussed, at least here as a group before, and it gives us the opportunity to start off new ordinances, pass resolutions, and a number of other budgetary things to give the public an opportunity to kind of see what it is the city is spending money on and agreeing to do. So first and foremost, we've got our public hearing on a request for a special one-day retail on-off sale malt beverage and farm wine license for the Aberdeen Downtown Association for their Brew Walk event, which will take place on October 10th on Main Street. I don't see anybody here from the Downtown Association to speak on its behalf, so if someone from the council was interested, you could make a motion to approve.
Move to
So-
approve.
Second.
Motion Reinbold, second Fober.
Yep.
Anyone have anything to attest to as it relates to this one-day retail malt beverage license? All right. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we've got a possible first reading of an ordinance 24-1002, which gives approval to certain sewer facility improvements, giving approval to the issuance and sale of a revenue bond, which will finance directly or indirectly those improvements to the facilities, approving the form of a loan agreement and the revenue bond, and pledging project revenues and collateral to secure the payment of the revenue bond, and creating special funds and accounts for the administration of funds for operation of the system and retirement of the revenue bond, and providing for a segregated special charge or surcharge for the payment of those bonds. Boy, that was a lot of introduction, but Jordan, I know that we've given this a lot of thought and communication in various forms over the years as it relates to this sewer project. Would you give us a rundown on the financing component of it and what this ordinance will do?
Thank you, Mayor. We have 4 ordinances this evening that basically accomplish 2 things. So I'll provide a brief synopsis of the 4 ordinances, and then I'll transition into what the first ordinance does with that summary and recommendation. So this evening, we'll have the consideration of 4 ordinances, which include the authorization and issuance of roughly $42 million in state revolving funding for loans which will be paid back in part by 2 new surcharges on customers' utility bills beginning January 1st, 2025. Item 7B on our agenda is Ordinance 24-1002, which passes $32.4 million in SRF loans for a sewer plant. Item 7C is Ordinance 24-1003, which establishes a $14.35 per month per account surcharge for those improvements that were part of the $32 million loan. The other project that we would take on here is accomplished with Ordinance 24-1004, which is passing a $10 million SRF loan for a new water tower and transmission line. And Ordinance number 24-1005 is this ordinance establishing a $6.75 per month per user surcharge to pay for the water tower, and that would begin January 1st of 2025. Both projects involve several key employees across multiple departments. While City Manager Robin Bobzien, City Engineer Stu Nelson, Water Rec Superintendent Amanda Fisher, Interim Water Plant Director Janelle Ellingson, and Assistant Public Works Director Jeremy Thorstensen have all made significant contributions to get us where we are today, I'm tasked with the duty of financing a project that has been in the works for years. The City of Aberdeen has worked closely with the South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources, the Northeast Council of Governments, engineers at Banners and Associates, and through bond counsel at Meyer Henry Sargent LLP. Both projects that I've described are once-in-a-generation projects. We have not seen a new water tower in over 40 years, and our sewer plant has outlived its useful life. These investments are necessary to maintain our current systems and position us for continued growth. I'll use some key terms tonight. SRF loan, that's the type of loan that we have that's from the state of South Dakota. An SRF surcharge is a monthly charge that our users will see on their utility bills. Clean water describes sewer water. Drinking water is drinkable water. A little background on this. The City Council held a public hearing back in 2021 regarding the issuance of $56 million in clean water SRF loans. The City Council held a public hearing for the issuance of $10 million in drinking water loans back in January of this year. The City Council unanimously passed resolutions in support of both the clean water and drinking water loans. Since the resolutions and public hearings that have occurred, the City has secured $18 million in state ARPA grants and committed $5 million of its own ARPA funds to reduce the loan amount for the sewer plant project. Going forward, each user on our utility system will see user fees included within their monthly bills beginning on January 1st, 2025. We are not required to itemize each SRF as a standalone item, but we will include it probably within the base fee. The surcharge could increase or decrease based on revenues and the financial conditions within each fund. The SRF fee is a condition of connection to our water and sewer utility. The SRF will be in existence for the life of each loan and will disappear at the time of maturity. We will open bids for the water treatment plant later this month, wastewater treatment plant. We'll know at that time if we need to secure additional SRF loans with additional SRF surcharges to pay for it. Construction is expected to begin in 2025 and will last for quite a while. For the water tower project, the bid date is yet to be determined. That will provide 1.5 million gallons of elevated storage on the east side of town. The SRF surcharge, as I mentioned, is within a utility fund, and we operate our utilities within proprietary business-type funds that are paid for with user fees, not city taxes. In fact, utility fees are subsidized by the infusion of sales tax and federal grant awards, which reduce the impact of proposed SRF loans on our utility customers. The SRF loans and surcharges are independent of the proposed wage increases or construction of a new public works facility. In addition to new SRF surcharges, a fee schedule will come to the council later this year. The bottom line is that we have significant capital projects taking place on both ends of our system, and we've done our best to keep rates low by obtaining low-interest loans and federal grants, but we must also pay for our share of the improvements made to our utility systems. The first method that we will do that is by issuing sewer bonds related to the wastewater treatment project. The public hearing on that was held back in 2021. As I mentioned earlier, the council authorized issuance of up to $56 million. In January 22, the council committed $5 million in ARPA. With the state's 18, that brings it to 23. At that time, the project was estimated to be $56 million. We will open bids later this month, and we'll know where we're at, and we may need to come back and get more SRF loans for that project. The bond ordinance was prepared by Meyer Henry Sargent LLP and has been reviewed by City Attorney Ron Weger. If approved, the bond ordinance will become effective 20 days after publication. Staff recommends approval of Ordinance 241002.
Thank you for that clarification. And since these are all kind of part and parcel with one another, I think that it might be a good time too to have our city manager weigh in on the necessity of the water tower as well as the improvements to the wastewater treatment plant.
You know, years ago, probably 2017, 2018, we started talking about doing work on the wastewater treatment plant, water reclamation plant. And I recall in 2018, we started talking about doing this water tower project. So these things have been in the process for, 6-7 years already, and probably contemplated for more like 15. If you take a look at what we had a study done back in 1979 that said we needed a tower on the east side of Aberdeen to make sure that we have proper pressures during certain times of usage, and that has come to, we've realized we need that at times right now, and so it has affected us at times. Part of it is a system issue. We're trying to correct some of those things within the system, and actually our most recent water modeling shows that we probably need another $1.5 million in storage on the south side of town. So this is, it's a good problem to have, not to pay for, but it's a good problem to have. It means we're growing, and it means our community's thriving, okay? What it means also is that it's gonna cost some money. And so if we wanna continue to grow, we've gotta continue to make sure we make these improvements so that we're in a position to have the room for housing, to have the room for additional commerce that's gonna take place within the community. So, and to be honest, we're chasing federal regulations at times. So what we build today may not comply with federal regulations for the treatment processes maybe within the next 20 to 30 years. And then we have to add more systems to keep up with the new regulations. So this is a process that never ends, and we just need to keep plugging away. This is part of it.
It also bears note that it's relatively unusual for us to receive grant funding for a water tower project, but we were able to receive about $2 million from the federal government for this project.
Yeah, at the time when we put this in, we thought we were going to be receiving somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 45% of the project. We were fortunate enough to have costs increase wildly, way beyond anything that we could have predicted, and, you know, sadly now we're gonna be at a 20% level versus a 45% level, so we're lucky to get 2 million, but we thought we were getting a lot larger portion of the project than we actually will realize.
And our wastewater treatment plant was built in the 1980s in its current form is largely as a household residential
Right.
treatment process, whereas now we have much more industrial use being processed.
And so the treatment process actually will be changing somewhat. It's still an anaerobic process, excuse me, but it is something that, our thought process is back in the 80s was primarily to take care of a residential community with very little industrial. And now we do have some heavier industrial usage, which requires a different type of treatment process, and we need to make sure that we're able to handle those things. We've also realized that at times we need to equalize those flows during storms and things like that, and the treatment process is not capable of dealing with some of those fluctuations when we have a storm. So we've got two things going on, and this is just addressing making sure we're able to keep up with the times in the near future.
And then lastly, I guess the point to be made, we've had a heck of a lot of input on social media about how this may or may not impact the household usage and their fees for these services provided. Jordan, I know that you've done a fair amount of research in comparisons with other communities across the state. Would you take a moment and just kind of explain where we fall in terms of averages and where this increase will put us as a community compared to some of the other cities across the state?
Sure. Let me see if I can pull some data up to illustrate. Pardon me. The spreadsheet speaks better than I do, so.
Yours always turns on automatically. It should.
Okay. So this table here illustrates first of all, there's some assumptions that we can make on the left side. The average user usage varies very much based on the different circumstances. So a family of 4 versus a retired couple versus a single person. So in this case, let's say it's 6,000 gallons of usage for a family of 4 with 2 adults and 2 small kids. The current rate would be $38.40 for water and $29.80 for sewer, for a total bill of $68.20. That's our current utility charge. Under this increased rate, the water total would be $49.45, the sewer total $47.25, for a total of $96.20. That's an increase of approximately $28.50. Compared to rates from other cities, Sioux Falls would be at $80.13, Rapid City would be $133.57, Watertown $79.24, Brookings $89.13, Yankton $125.31, Pierre $103.14, Mitchell $121.21, Huron a little bit lower at $105.51, Webb with just the provision of water would be at $90.34, and Groton down the road would be at $109.17. There are some assumptions being made on the sewer usage charge because rates are variable, especially in winter, but this is a rough estimate of where we would be and how it would be impacted. I'll just plug in a low user, let's say 2,000 gallons. Oop, that's way too low, 2,000. You can kind of see the change there. So the change to a single user with 2,000 gallons a month would be approximately $24.90.
Thank you for showcasing that. So obviously we're going from the lowest in the list or right at the lowest in the list to more towards the top of the list.
You'll see as municipalities take on these SRF loans, they kind of leapfrog to the top. And as other cities complete projects, they take their position at the top.
Mr. Mayor.
One thing that I'd like to mention is that when we have done these projects in the past, we've gone from really on the low end tier to the middle. This will probably push us a little higher into the middle, maybe closer to that top third. But we're still not in the top third. We're still kind of in that middle grouping. And this could have been done so many different ways, and one of the ways would have been if we had chosen to take some kind of cost of living increase every year, regardless whether you need it or not. You would have seen those rates quite a bit higher. We would have had a lot more money in reserves at this time, but your gap would have been a lot shorter to leap. We chose to do it with where we took the bigger leap and not have as much in reserves, but we didn't charge our customers up front for a lot of these services. So I don't know that there's a right way to do it, but it's painful when you make that large leap, without a doubt.
And we had also had a meeting and discussed the potential of, because the biggest fear that I have at least, is that the people that are, elderly on fixed budgets and that kind of a thing, that probably aren't going through a lot of water, are really going to feel a pinch on this. And one of the thoughts that I had was perhaps on the other variable aspect of this thing, we've got a flat rate service charge for both sewer and water. Perhaps that could become a variable charge based on usage. So a user that has very little usage would have a lower fee, and that would accelerate as a person began to choose to use it for gardening or running businesses and that kind of a bigger usage customer. And so that's something that we could maybe discuss and consider as an option during the fee schedule discussion a little bit further down the road.
That's correct. Also, in future SRF loans, we could structure it in different ways to be a little more creative.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate both of your input on that. So what we're discussing first, I guess, was the first of the four. That's basically the approval itself to do the sewer facility improvements.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask 2 points of clarification?
Please do.
First, the idea that you just mentioned. So we're voting today on these items, not necessarily on the fee structure. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, we will be voting on the SRF fee, and the variable aspects of those things will be contingent on the amount financed. And so on in a perfect world, perhaps there will be a lot of interest from builders to build, numerous people interested in building the water towers that'll drive down the cost. That number might be a lower number than what was illustrated in Jordan's spreadsheet and in this file. That's set at $6.75. That's preempting $10 million in loans from the state government. If that number is $8 million, which we're hoping is closer to, or hopefully even less than that, that number will be lower. But we're actually voting on that SRF charge, not in this vote, but in the subsequent votes.
Okay, and then one more point. How does you talked about the role of industry in all of this, and how is their billing going to look different? Are the base charges going to be the same, and then the number of gallons increases, so the total increases, or what's it going to look like?
The base, they would have the same SRF surcharge per user per month per account. This is not tied to usage, it's simply by user. And it's a static rate.
Yeah, they do pay, however, a usage rate increase. So a user that uses a substantial amount more water than their next door neighbor graduates up in tiers. And that's especially noticed in the cases where there's industrial customers that use, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of gallons a day, pay a pretty sizable amount rate higher than a household user would. And there's so few of those that probably wouldn't make much of a difference if they had a much higher SRF rate.
There's a lot of different assumptions that could be made with a higher rate. It could deter industry as well. It's a delicate balance.
Well, we did talk to our contact at NECOG, and we can't adjust that rate schedule the way that it's.
This not at this time with this SRF issuance.
Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate that. My recommendation, Aaron, would be the service charge that we choose in our rate fee structure would potentially be able to be changed to a graduated rate system that would afford people, the lowest end users that may be on fixed budgets and that kind of a thing, to be able to save a little bit of money through their low usage by adjusting down that service charge for those people.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I think Councilman Reinbold has a
Mayor.
question.
Oh, Justin, what have you got?
Jordan, can you explain why we are doing a flat fee increase rather than a rate increase? Or a usage rate increase, I should say.
Within the clean water loan, that was what was determined to be the preference at the time, back in 2021. I would defer to Robin on that.
I think what it comes down to is this is a fixed fee, and the only way to guarantee payment on a fixed fee is to have the monthly charge be based on paying that back. If you do it on if it's a variable fee, you can do it on the user fee or the service charge. The service charge is going to be something that will guarantee payment on a fixed fee.
And then just to clarify one more thing, as opposed to increasing the user rate, this is a temporary fee that'll go away when the financing is done. So hopefully, at the end of this, at the end of the repayment schedule, everyone will see the rates pretty significantly drop once that's been achieved.
Thank you.
Anything else for new business B?
Mayor,
Okay, good. Alan?
quick question. Jordan, can you comment on what the expected duration then of these surcharges will be, or may be?
Sure. So clean water, that SRF is a 30-year term, and it's anticipated that that surcharge would be in place for 30 years, and it would be dissolved upon the satisfaction of those bonds or loans.
In the potable or drinking water?
Drinking water, 20-year bond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the council? Any other points of discussion? I think we might have got right into the discussion on this, so I would have to take a motion from someone on the council to approve this ordinance.
Move ordinance 24-1002.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Ward. Anything else from the council you'd like to discuss on this one before we take our vote? Jordan, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we've got the possible first reading ordinance 24-1003, which amends the rate structure providing for that surcharge that we discussed to the sewer system for the payment of a revenue borrower bond and yearly review of rate. Jordan, particulars on this piece of the puzzle.
This is that monthly fee that each user will see on their utility bill. The amount is $14.35 currently. It could be amended as revenues increase or decrease within that fund. It would take effect January 1st of 2025, and it will be in place for the duration of the loan. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Anyone from the council have any questions about this one in particular? Jordan, talk about the yearly review of rate. What factors will be contingent upon?
Collection of payments. As users pay their bills, as we experience growth, that could increase or decrease the surcharge. That's what that means. So we review it annually. It's part of our continuing disclosure as part of the issuance of bonds. There could be some minor adjustment.
And we do have to be at 110% of what our commitment is based on, that's what the rules are that we'll have to have, so. Even though you're meeting it, it still may have to go up just to meet that 110%.
Thank you, gentlemen. We've got our motion, we've got our second on that. If there's no further comments from the council, Jordan, would you give us another roll call vote then, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Now we've got the third of four on that topic. We've got the possible first reading of an ordinance 24-1004, which gives approval to drinking water facility improvements. Jordan, anything special about this one, or do you feel like you've satisfactorily covered the extent of it?
This is the water tower, and I'll just clarify that.
Thank you, Jordan. Robin, anything to add?
Well, it's more than a water tower, it's a transmission line that's gonna get the water to it as well. I wish it was only a water tower, it wouldn't be as expensive, but we're putting in some additional infrastructure. Sorry, Jordan, I had to get that big in.
I do numbers.
Take a motion if someone
So moved.
were so inclined. All right. We got a motion
Second.
from Councilman Johnson and the second from Councilman Reinbold. Any questions as it relates to our water tower and transmission line? Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye. Motion carries. Last, we've got the final piece of that system of ordinances. This was ordinance title 24-1005, which amends the city's rate structure, providing a surcharge for improvements of that water system for a payment of the revenue borrower bond and yearly review of price. I would take a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ward and a second from Councilman Northrup. And just as a point of clarification, this fee is set at $6.75, assuming a $10 million bond or revolving loan fund loan was requested. That hopefully that number will be down in a lower amount by the time it's actually implemented and the bids come back. Anyone have any questions, comments? Jordan?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we've got a possible approval of a resolution 24-1001R, which establishes a consolidated board of equalization pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 10-1166. In the past, I've served on that board, and it's a board that includes members of the school board as well as the county. If someone were interested in doing that, it's only a couple of meetings each year, or a series of meetings each year, depending on how many people have raised concerns about escalating property taxes. And I would be more than happy to pass the role to anyone else that was willing to do it. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to do it for another year.
I think you should do it for another year.
Fair
I'll
enough.
move that I'll move that the mayor be appointed to the Consolidated Board of Equalization, but I would volunteer to be the alternate again.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. So I've got a motion for myself as the member of that consolidated board, and this would be to also, I'm not reading the thing itself, but the motion would also be to establish the resolution which would provide for that group in the first place.
Correct, and for Rob Ronayne as the alternate member.
Second.
I've got a motion from Ronayne and a second from Reinbold. Anyone have any protest in that category? Sure, you guys don't want to do it. Can be kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. Good bonding experience with some school board members we don't always get. All right then, since it's resolution, I've got a motion, I've got our second. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on this one, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we got a possible approval to authorize the city manager to sign the Department of Transportation 5339 funding agreement. And here to talk about that is Transportation Director Rich Krokel. Rich, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. So what we're doing tonight is asking for City Council to authorize City Manager to sign SDDOT's Section 5339 funding agreement, SD 2024-014. This will provide funding of about $222,500, and that'll be go toward projects for fiscal year 2025. And some of those projects include the purchase of a bus, a pressure washer, dispatch software, and tires.
I'll move to approve.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilman Northstrop. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Krokel?
The motion just says tire one. You only get one.
Typo. One tire.
Better be a good one.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we've got two payments. This would be to Helms and Associates, invoice number 10, $1,344.36 for our airport improvement project apron. Next, we've got a payment 18 for $2,962.82 for our rehab lighting improvements on the runway. Rich, can you spell us out what we'll be getting for these?
Yes, these are for our engineering firm, Helms and Associates. Invoice 10 in the amount of $1,344 for our AIP project for the GA Apron Phase 2, and that is for construction administrative services on that project. That project is funding allocation is 90% federal, 5% state, and 5% local. And invoice number 18 for the amount of $2,962.82. That is for construction administration on runway 1331. That is also funded at 90% federal, 5% state, and 5% local.
Move to approve H with items 1 and 2 encompassing that.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Liebelt and a second from Councilman Johnson. Anyone have any questions on either of these payments? All right, Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next is our final item for Mr. Krokel. We've got an approval of payment also to Helms and Associates for $1,340 and a payment to Holiday Technologies for $77,395.79 for our RT3 flight friction tester for our friction measuring equipment. Rich?
Right, yep, so Helms and Associates helped us put together the bid package and bid documents for AIP 51, which is purchase of the continuous friction measuring device that we use on the runways. And item number 1 is for Helms' final payment for $1,340. And the second item is to Halliday Technologies for $77,395.79. And this was from federal bill money, BIL, bipartisan infrastructure law. That was at 90% federal, 5% state, and 5% local.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate that explanation. Would someone care to make a motion to pay those guys?
Move approval of both payments.
Second.
Motion Johnson, second Reinbold. Any questions for Rich before he
Mr.
takes
Mayor,
his
I have
leave?
a non-germane question.
Please.
Is that allowed, Ron? I want to know what's the biggest plane that ever landed at the Aberdeen airport?
It would have been the C-17.
Tell me the story.
That would have been with President Bush when he came to visit. we frequently get 737s. So that's a pretty large aircraft. That's a 140, 160 passenger aircraft.
So Air Force One, you're saying?
No, this was like Air Force half. It's a smaller plane designed for regional airports.
Thanks.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call on those payments?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion
Thank
carries.
you, Council.
Yeah, thanks for that information too. That was fun. Possible approval joint funding payment for $23,357 with the U.S. Geological Service for our water resource investigation for October through, or October of last year through the end of September of this year. Stu, what can you tell us about that joint funding payment?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is our annual payment that we make to USGS to help support the stream gauging stations that are along the Elm River, Foot Creek, and Moxon Creek. And we use these during flooding events to help us predict where water is moving and what the impact is going to be. So it's a pretty vital part of our arsenal when it comes to flood fighting. And we do recommend that we make the payment to USGS.
So moved.
Move to approve. Or did I?
Councilwoman Liebelt, would you take the second on that?
I will be happy to take a second.
All right, so we got a motion, Councilman Johnson. Second, Councilwoman Liebelt. Any questions?
You know I love these stream gauges.
I remember we had a good discussion about it last year, if memory serves. They're good.
There's an additional component on this too, and it is that we do some groundwater monitoring for our well system for the water treatment plant. That is a smaller portion of this bill. We only bill the county back for a portion of the stream gauging, not for the portion that ends up being our monitoring for the water treatment plant.
And the split. So it's 50-50 with the feds?
That's not exactly.
60-40 probably closer.
Yeah. By the time you kind of factor the way they look at it, their share of it's probably 40%.
Thank you. Stu and Robin, appreciate that. Justin, did you have?
Nope.
All right, since it is a payment, I will need another roll call vote. Jordan, would you give that to us, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we got the possible approval of a pay request titled number 9 for Reedy Construction, $24,415.75, as well as a negative change order, $14,091.13 for their Dakota Street roadway improvement project. Stu, could you outline the value of those payments and what we're paying for?
Sure. So this is just the retainage on last year's Dakota Street project. The project's been done for quite a while. Once in a while, these things just kind of have a habit or have a way of kind of being forgotten about by the contractor and by us. So they called and asked about 2 weeks ago if we could pay them the last portion of the money that we were holding. So we said, sure, we can do that. So
Move to approve. Second.
Motion Ronayne, second Northrup. Any questions? Jordan, roll call, please.
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Finally, new business, last item, we've got a possible approval to declare various sets of structural firefighting bunker gear as surplus property. And here joining us is Fire Chief Joel Weig. Joel, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. Aberdeen Fire Rescue evaluates and inspects their structural firefighting gear on an annual basis. This gear exceeds the 10-year service life outlined by NFPA 1851. It currently has no value for resale or donation, and it's beyond its service life. So we're requesting to surplus it so we can remove it from inventory and dispose of it.
Thank you, Chief. Would someone make a motion to surplus that property?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, Ronayne, second Ward. Any questions? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us, Joel. Appreciate it. Next, and finally, we've got a list of our bills for this week, October 7th, and the payroll for the pay period of September 22nd through the other day, October 5th, as well as Social Security, Survivors Insurance, Retirement Health, and Life Insurance. I would take a motion to pay the bills.
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ward and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Jordan, would you give us our final roll call vote of the evening?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. City Manager's report is next. Robin, have you got anything for us?
Couple items. Glad to see Aaron and Ken made it back safely from their Futurist U conference, and hope that you're going to be willing to share a little bit of your experience with us in the. Not expecting you to do it tonight, but hopefully we'll get something out of you later on to find out what you learned. Amber was with them as well. Amber this week is in Rapid City at a GOED conference called Fuel the Growth, and so she said she's meeting with some folks in a lot of different communities and with the GOED, and she's hopefully going to come back with some leads on some things or how to move forward with some stuff. We also will have many of our staff at the South Dakota Municipal League Conference, the majority of the week. That starts tomorrow and through Friday, and we'll try to represent you well. Aberdeen's well represented just about every year, and very proud of the leadership roles that a lot of your staff has taken in the different groups that they're parts of. So, and lastly, we did a 25-year appreciation certificate to Travis Lamar from Parks and Rec. You know, it's you hit 25 years. That's starting to get into a career at that point. And Travis must have started when he was 15. He's not that old, so I don't know. He
Maybe it's a shell game.
It could be a shell game. Could be.
Thanks, Mayor.
That's all I got.
I like that one. Congratulations, Travis, and appreciate your service to the city. I would take, and also, obviously, as you notice, there's quite a lot of students around here, and some of them would like an opportunity to visit with some of you guys. So if you're able to, after the meeting, wait around, and we will facilitate a bit of a conversation. But aside from that, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I have one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, go ahead.
Stu, can you give us an update on the 8th Avenue project?
The pipes here. We have the contractor we were working with to start the work was unable to fit it into their schedule, so we're working on getting a different contractor in to start doing that. I would say in the next week to 2 weeks. Then in addition to that, we're going to put the casing pipe in for the new the transmission line that's going to go in there too. So we're going to add that piece so that we don't have to do that. We can keep it out of the project when we do bid that and start construction. So a little bit more work there than what we had anticipated originally, but I think it'll be a good way to save that cost.
Thank you.
And did you say what your anticipated timeline?
I would say in the next 2 weeks.
See, all the culvert system is sitting there in place, so that's good to have that material in hand. And then, Dita, did you have something to share before we?
Go ahead and adjourn, and then I'll just give a little blurb about the class and what we're curious about from the council.
Sounds fair. I would take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Northstrup and a second from Councilwoman Folberg. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.